In order to depict the ear convincingly, we need to have an idea of the forms of the ear. Because this one is in shadow, let's look at this model where the forms of the ear are a little bit clearer. From a side view, we can think of the form of the ear as a question mark with a letter Y on the inside. The question mark is this outside curve of the ear, and the point of the question mark is the ear lobe. This outer rim of the ear is called the helix. On the inside of the ear is a curving letter Y shape. That entire form is called the antihelix. It has two branches that make up the two halves of the Y. The Y is more pronounced on some people and less so on others. This inner basin is called the concha. This is the tragus, the antitragus, the ear notch, and the triangular groove between the two sides of the Y is called the triangular fossa. On some people, this groove is deeper, and on others, it's more shallow. Looking at the ear in the reference, here is that outer question mark shape, the helix and the earlobe. Here is the curving Y shape of the antihelix, the tragus, antitragus, ear notch, and the basin of the concha. Let's look at the ear in terms of values. The darkest values in the ear are along the inside of the helix. This shadow that connects the helix to the top of the earlobe to the antitragus, and the shadow along the outside of the basin form of the concha, the inside of the ear. Let's notice the highlights. There's the one on the inside of the concha, along the Y of the antihelix, and some slightly lighter areas on the earlobe, the tragus and the antitragus. The trick is going to be making these very subtle so that they still read as being in shadow, and giving them the proper edge qualities. Where is the sharpest edge here? Probably here along the inside of the helix, and the outside contour of the ear. The softest edges are gradations like this one along the ear lobe that transition from one value to another very slowly. I start working on the ear simply by finding some of these forms. I'm taking a minute to define this light shape because it's in such close proximity to the ear, and I want the alignment of the two to be correct. I'm finding the shape of the earlobe and the angle change between it and the helix. I'm darkening the inner half of the helix here. Notice that both the shadow side and the light side have a thickness. And there's a shadow on the outside of the helix as well. That is one of the sharper edges, meaning that it's a more abrupt change from one value to the next. We can clearly see where one value ends and another begins. I'll indicate this highlight just a little bit to give me another point of reference. There's an important shadow under the ear. It's a cast shadow that will separate the ear from the neck. I'm not going to draw the part of the ear that I can't see behind the hair, but I'm trying to picture it. I need to create that Y shape of the antihelix and the basin of the concha, but I want to do that by observing and drawing in shapes of values, rather than line.